Welcome to another whiteboard session. This session will be talking about supplements versus steroids. Let's get into it. Supplements and steroids sometimes are used interchangeably, but they are not the same. And mistaking these two is way off mark, right? So today I want to set the line straight. Let's get into it. So, supplements. Let's define this. Let's define a supplement. What is supplementing? Let's just start first. Before we start to differentiate supplements, let's just break down the word with the same supplement. What supplementing means is adding, just adding. Or if you want, you can go on and define it as adding an extra element or amount. Or you can define it as adding on top of. So, this is what supplementing means. Now, what a supplement is something that adds on top of something. So what are we adding on exactly? What we preach here is that first. That must be your top thing. So what we're adding on is on top of your diet. Yeah? So for those that want to gain weight, we usually advise them, especially those that are slim and find it hard to gain weight, we usually advise them to get what is called a mass gainer. This is just a supplement. What does this supplement do? This supplement has a lot of calories and protein, right? What this would do is that it will force an individual to go in a calorie surplus. When an individual is in a calorie surplus, they'll be able to do what? Gain weight. But doesn't mean that the only thing that they have is a mass gainer. No, this individual usually eats. They feel like they're eating a lot. They feel themselves as if they're eating a lot. But according to the rate of their metabolism and how fast their body processes food, they are not eating enough according to what their body needs in order for it to grow or gain mass, right? So this mass gainer will force them to be in a calorie deficit so they can put on that weight. But the number one thing that they have to do is still continue to eat the same way that they've been eating, probably increase on the protein because they want to gain mass and things like that, right? That's about it. When we talk about things like creatine, like we said, the body produces this in little amounts, but as somebody who works out, you need this creatine in your blood because it will make what is called phosphocreatine, right? And this phosphocreatine will contribute to that broken down ATP in the energy recycle process. The ATP will be broken down to ADP, and creatine will donate this extra phosphate and turn this back into ATP. And there you have more energy. That's supplementing. You're just adding on to what is already there, right? So that's what supplements are, and that's what they do. They add on top of your diet. So with supplements, the number one thing is your own diet. You need to watch what you eat, and you need to eat with purpose depending on your goals. But what are steroids? It is very wrong to call steroids supplements because they are not the same thing. Now, steroids, I'll give you an example of two different steroid hormones, right? There is testosterone and estrogen. These are steroid hormones, right? They are made of fat, particularly cholesterol and things like that, right? What steroids are is that you'll be able to inject this hormone. They'll be able to make something that is bioidentical to your normal testosterone. You inject this hormone, then you have more testosterone in your body. The natural testosterone that we have, especially us as men, is probably from anywhere. The normal is anywhere from about 300 to about 850. There are some outliers that can even go to about 1,000 milligrams of testosterone. But people who are injecting steroids, we will normally find them anywhere from about 2,000 milligrams to about 5,000 milligrams. Now, testosterone just makes you more manly. What defines us as men is these muscles and heavy voice and aggression and things like that, right? So when you inject this steroid, what will happen is that you'll be able to have more muscle and you'll be more aggressive and you'll be more hairy because hairiness is also what defines us as men, and all these other characteristics, right? This will speed up your metabolism to no man's business, so you'll be able to build muscle at high speeds, right? But this, because of what it does to the system, does unnatural things to your system, it has very huge side effects. The one that I fear most is losing the ability to bear children, right? Because since your normal has been exceeded and your body feels like it has more than enough testosterone because you have all these 2,000 to 5,000 hanging around in your blood, it'll feel like, okay, there's more than enough, so for me, I'll stop producing my natural testosterone, meaning that you stop producing your natural testosterone. That alone will damage your ability to be able to bear children and things like that, right? There are many ways around it, but they're so expensive and really not worth it. So it's not worth starting injecting all these different types of steroids. So that's the difference between steroids and supplements. They are completely different things. Steroids, you're more injecting them in your body, right? Supplements, you're just having them like food. Okay, this is me post-edit. There are some steroids that you can take orally as pills and things like that. So it's not just, injecting and things like that. So just wanted to make that point clear. And letting them digest just like that, right? So very huge difference. I hope I've convinced you and I hope I've taught you the difference between supplements and steroids. Two completely different compounds, right? If you have any questions about the two of these, drop them in the comments. I'll be able to answer you and we can be able to have a more productive discussion about all these things. See you in the next one.